Hi, welcome to this video link from our ebook where we're going to show you how to make the curry to go base gravy. Now, as you've probably been reading in the book, the curry to go base gravy is a compromise of the Bangladeshi style and the Indian style base gravy, and we sort of came up with that compromise because we wanted the base to lend itself to many different types of curries, not just the spicy ones but the sweeter ones. So it's a compromise of the two, and you want to try it because it is a really nice base gravy that we've sort of trialled over about the last 6 months now, and we use this all the time. Now the other base gravies are fine, you probably use the Bangladeshi one already. I'm just going to show you what we've got over here, because the ingredients I've given you in the book are for a 7-litre pressure cooker, which is the shortcut way of cooking, and that's what we actually do here. Now this is a 7-litre pressure cooker pot, which is what you'll probably use at home if you've got one of these, or you're going to go out and buy one of these. This is the size you'll use. Now we're using a 15-litre one here, which is a commercial one. So basically I've just doubled the amount of ingredients that you've got written there in the book, so you're just going to want to half this amount. It's as simple as that, and you'll get the same results. But I'm going to show you how we do it, and then basically what it looks like once it's done, particularly the right consistency, because that is another thing that you really want to get right, because if your base gravy is too thick when you're actually making the curries, then it will affect the flavour. It won't come out quite right. You actually want it thinner than you're probably making it, and that was something that I discovered after numerous months of trial and error. So anyway, what have we got in our pot? This is filled to the brim with onions. Now we halve the onions. You've probably seen that some Indian chefs put them in whole, but the reason we halve them is you can actually fit more onion in, and as you've already discovered in my book, onions are the absolute key to the flavour of BIR cooking, really are, and so therefore you want to get as many onions in as possible. So we halve them. You could even cut them again, quarter them, but you don't want to slice them all up. Just halve or quarter them and get as many in as possible. So that's it, filled with onions. Then we've got in here, I've got 6 carrots sliced. You'd be putting 3 in the 7-litre version. I've got a whole bunch of coriander in there. We've got 2 chef's spoons of garlic and ginger paste. We've also got about 10 pieces, you'd put 5 in the 7-litre version, but we've got 10 pieces of sliced fresh root ginger in there. That adds a really nice characteristic flavour to your base. And then we've got obviously we've got our carrot, we've got our pepper. In your 7-litre pot you'll just use half a pepper. We're using a whole pepper just broken up roughly. We've got 4 chilies, and that's it for the ingredients. We've not yet put the oil and the water in. Now you're probably wondering why is it you don't put cabbage in this one, which is the compromise of the two. Why is it you don't put more green pepper, put red pepper in? And the answer to that is simply that you get more flavour out of your onions. The cabbage will add a nice consistency, and it will certainly add bulk to your base. But what I was looking for after trialling all the different bases, was I was looking for the intenseness of flavour, and you get that from the onions. That's why I don't put cabbage in this base. It's nothing to do with the flavour, it's just that you can fit more onion in, and it's as simple as that. And that's the way I do it, and that's the same reason I don't put more green pepper or more red pepper in there. In fact, I'll tell you a little secret. Some Indian chefs that I know make a base gravy from simply onions, oil and spices. They don't put anything other than that in, and it creates great flavour, believe it or not. So that's our reason for doing that. Now the oil. Now I've had so many videos, people saying to me, "You sure you really do put that much oil in?" But believe me, it is the right amount of oil here to get the right flavour. So I've got a litre here of seasoned oil, because this is double the amount that I've given you in the book, which is 7-litre pot. I'm going to put 2 litres in. So in with our seasoned oil. I need to just fill that again. Basically, if you're using a large ladle, 5 large ladles equals 1 litre. And there we have it, that's under the litre. So that goes in. Now if this really bothers you, the fact that there's all this oil in there, and you're on a diet or health restrictions or whatever, what I would suggest is use less oil in the final fry stage when you're actually cooking your curries. But please do not reduce the amount of oil that goes in your base, because you won't get the right flavour. It's as simple as that. It's that critical to your curries, the oil. So that's that. So that's in. Now all we need to do now is add our tomatoes, tin tomatoes. For the 7 litre version it'd just be 1 tin. We put 2 in for this. And then finally the water. Now for the 7 litre pot, just 1 cup. For this I'll put 2. Now again, this is something I just want to mention to you, and that is that don't be tempted to put more water in. I know a lot of people who make base gravies and they put a whole load of water in when they're cooking their onions, and they do that because they either want to speed up the process or they're wanting to ensure that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. If you do that, you will not bring out the characteristic taste of the caramelized onions, basically the sweating process that goes on there, because you really want your oil to be doing the work in the pan. You don't want water to do that. The water will just dilute everything. You've got to remember that the onions are 70% water, so when you cook it, the onions will release that liquid, and that with the oil is what will cook your onions, and then you'll get the right flavour. If you dilute it by putting a ton of water in there, you will not get the right flavour. So please just try this way and then see what the results are, and you'll see what I mean. So we've just put 2 cups of water in there. You'll just put 1 in. So that's ready to go now. Now obviously with a normal standard type pot you'd have it overflowing, but we don't overflow the pot because it is a pressure cooker. We don't want to do that. So on with our lid. It. Okay. Now you started off, you might think it doesn't really matter here, but you want to start it off on just a medium sort of heat. You don't want it blasting away because you will burn your onions. So just start off on a medium heat, just so that some of the liquid from the onion starts to release, and that helps things along a bit. And then once you have left that, I'd say for about 5 minutes or so, then you can put up your heat a little bit more. Now what you're wanting to do, you're going to be using one of these type of pressure cookers, and I'll just grab my lid for that. If you're using this style of pressure cooker, what you're waiting for is for the pressure valve to rise to the top. Once that pops up, then obviously these little extra valves will start releasing a little bit of the pressure, and your lid will, little doofer on top here will start spinning round. Once that happens, we normally, as I said, we don't measure everything by time, but we normally go for about 25 minutes once it reaches that stage. But as I mentioned in the book, what I want you to do is I want you to use your nose here, because I'm so busy in the kitchen doing lots of different things, I don't time everything. But as soon as I smell that smell, and it's that distinctive tangy smell that has an almost vinegar sort of tone to it, you know your onions are cooked. You can smell it, permeates the whole place, and you'll recognise that smell. If you've been in many Indian restaurants and takeaways, you'll know the smell I'm talking about. So again, about 25 minutes roughly, once that's reached pressure that you want to be cooking it for. Once it's done that, you'll start to notice that smell. You know your onions are ready, and that's when you take it off. And your onions, you should be able to pop your knife straight in there, and it's absolutely zero resistance. They just fall apart, and that's where we want to be. So once this is done, we're going to come back to it, look at it, blend it, and we'll show you the right consistency. So come back in just a moment. Hi. So our pressure cooker's been well, it's cooked for about half an hour, 25 minutes as we said, and and as I just mentioned before, the key thing is that smell that you want to be looking for to know that your onions are ready. So we allowed that to cool a little bit before we took the lid off, and as you can see, when you poke a knife into that, there's absolutely no resistance whatsoever. The onions should be completely translucent, they should be completely soft, and the carrots too. You should be able to poke your knife into the carrot and there's no resistance, none at all. So that tells you that it's cooked enough. So you can see all the liquids come out of the onions and obviously mixed with the oil. Okay, so now at this stage we put the spices in. Now if you come over here and have a look, you'll see the spices that we've got. These are the spices that you generally put in to your base gravy, particularly for this version that we're doing. And in most bases really, you've got your coriander, paprika, a good quality mild madras curry powder, which is raja, jeera or cumin, and we've got turmeric, we've got jaggery, which is refined or unrefined palm sugar. We've got garam masala, which is our own garam masala blend. Now what you can do as a shortcut, these are the spices that go in. It's exactly the same as what we put in the mixed powder. So this is the same blend really. So what we would do now at this stage, don't forget we're dealing with a 15-litre pot here. So we're going to put in 4 heaped chef spoons, and these are 30-gram chef spoons by the way, 4 of these in a 15-litre. So obviously with the 7-litre version you're going to be looking about 2. And then we're going to put in 2 level chef spoons of salt. And don't forget, this is going to be more than double this amount. Some recipes say just add the equal amount of liquid as to vegetables or onions, but we really want more than that because we want a thinner consistency. In Indian restaurants they tend to prefer the base to be thinner. I'll explain why a little bit later. So that's going to be more than double the quantity. So we get our spices in there, give them a good mix into the base. And now we're going to return this to a simmer. We're not going to add anything else at this point now, this is it. Just allow those spices just to cook in with the onions just for about 25 minutes. And then after that we will blend the liquid up and blend it up into a liquid, and then we'll thin it down with water, and you can see the right consistency then that we're talking about. So we'll come back to that once that's been cooking for about 25 minutes.